Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the 19th hole. We are live on In Between Media. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the whole damn channel, and jingle that bell for notifications. The PGA Championship was quite the storyline builder. We got Xander Schauffele, who actually can close. Great job, Xander. Proved me right. Love that journey for us. The gold medalist does know how to close. PGA champion. And it has officially been more recent that Scottie Scheffler stretched and warmed up in a jail cell before shooting 66. When I did that, that was just on the front nine. We're going to move on to Colonial, one of my favorite golf courses, because we'll have some carnage. Connor standing by. Let's hit it. Oh, hey, I should probably add Connor to the mix here. There he is.
I've arrived.
Good evening, everyone. Royal's here. Tim's here. Everybody in the house. I'll let Connor do the back end here because I'm just discombobulated.
I'm not going to be much better. I just sat down too. So here we go.
Let's go. Special hump day edition of the 19th hole. Tomorrow, we're going to have a morning tea time at Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth, Texas. Connor, how are you doing, buddy? I mean, other than being completely discombobulated like myself. Chelsea's got the puns. There you go. The back end and rear end, ironically, not the same thing this time.
All plays the same, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. How am I doing? I'm pretty good. I could have had a few better bets last week. Bryson was right there for me, which was nice.
Did you catch any cases?
I didn't over the weekend, although I definitely made an attempt a couple of nights. It was a little touch and go.
I mean, I pull around traffic all the time, especially when a cop's telling me not to.
Yeah, mine was more bar centric than traffic centric, but hey.
Yeah. Well, pour one out for that Louisville cop that decided to play hangman on Scottie's marked Lexus PGA courtesy vehicle while wearing bright yellow rain gear. He looked more like the Gorton's fisherman than a peace officer trying to uphold traffic control at the gates of Valhalla.
No body cam footage.
Really convenient that he marked that there was, but if they found out that he was obviously in the wrong, it's mysteriously gone.
Yeah, it was wild. And what was more crazy was for seriously like 2 hours, I had no idea that there was a fatality. And
right. And that was the whole reason for the traffic backup too.
Which, like, man, I mean, in a lot of ways, I kind of feel like they owe it to that volunteer to like maybe give him a little bit of something on this broadcast this weekend or something. I mean, there was just hard to find information. So,
yeah. So when it's raining in the dark and you have a guy in a yellow rain jacket yelling at you to stop your vehicle, just keep going, man. Just keep going.
Just keep going.
So if he didn't stop, that cop, no chance he knows who it is. No chance he catches up with him. And Scottie warms up as normal, not in jail.
I'm still like blown away that nobody immediately put two and two together that was Scottie Scheffler. Like,
well, no, they arrested him immediately because of the guy ate shit and destroyed his pants beyond repair.
Obviously, that cop has never watched golf in his life. Like, I could pick Scottie up. Maybe it's because
we're gonna talk about Akshay Bhatia. We've seen Akshay Bhatia ruin pants beyond repair. We also seen Tom Kim do it in the swamps in a practice round. So yeah, an $80 pants. I mean, maybe the department could cover that, but who knows?
Oh, we digress. But
what are you drinking?
I am polishing off last little bit of this Buffalo Trace.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah, so I wanted to have more time to go get something new. So next week I will have a new bottle of something.
Viva Mexico. I'm drinking a bottle of Pacifico
Oh,
Clara
Pacifico
with limon.
con limon.
Yep, put it down in there. Let it float.
Question: do you drink Corona?
Nope, this is better.
No, for sure it is. I had a buddy, this is in high school, that used to drink nothing but Corona with a lime, salt, and grenadine. And it was like the goofiest looking drink ever, but delicious. I'm not
And
advocating that you should walk around with a pink beer, but I'm just saying it was delicious.
That's what it takes to make Corona drinkable.
Yeah.
Salt, lime, and grenadine to any beer would be pretty good, right? I mean, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, just most of the time it's in a brown tinted glass, so you wouldn't be any the wiser.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about Corona is it's in a clear bottle, so it gets skunky immediately in the sun. Pacifico and other Mexican beers are smart; they put it in the amber bottle, so guess what? It doesn't get skunky, and you don't have to add a bunch of stuff to it to make it taste good.
My friend was not so popular with the ladies carrying that drink around.
They call that orina de burro over there.
I think the only thing worse was guys that used to put Jolly Ranchers and Smirnoff Ice.
Yeah, I mean that's one way.
Or Zima. I guess it was Zima.
Yeah, it's one way to kill your pancreas. Just to come with an insulin shot.
God, some days I probably need it. Yeah. So outside of that, no. Awesome tournament last week. I finally got a loaded leaderboard on Sunday.
It was
finally
amazing.
Got a hot competition. Like I couldn't take my eyes off the TV. I watched
the easiest major relative to par of all time, and that's only because it rained 2 days in advance. Like that Valhalla needs to be dried out August PGA for it to be tough because it got rained on and it was like target practice.
I will say though that week on week we're talking about how these courses should play tougher. I'm really starting to wonder that I'm with you. Valhalla should have played tougher. If it was dried out, it would have been tougher. Would it have been 7-8 strokes tougher? I don't know. Like I'm starting to wonder if these courses like are just gettable by a lot of the field. I mean,
well, and that's the thing is I don't think that they're going about it the right way. Rolling the golf ball back doesn't really do anything other than reduce distance. We've seen tough courses like Colonial play to 7,200 yards and eat these guys alive. You know why? Because you can't just bomb it over the trees here. You have to be able to hit the ball straight or at least curve it where the fairway goes. Plan your shots accordingly. Valhalla was not a planner's golf course. You could bomb and gouge there. And when you were close enough for wedge distance, because, okay, well, all I have to do is hit it high enough so where if I'm hitting out of the rough, I'm not going to have as much spin. You just hit a ball straight up in the air, it's going to land soft because it rained. And all these guys are able to hit the ball really high when they want to. And that's all it had to do. And it was just birdie central. There were people holing out from all over the place, chip ins, wedge shots, long irons. I mean, Scottie on the first hole on Thursday from 170 hits a one hopper right in the jar. And welcome back, Daddy.
That was sweet, though.
What a shot.
I was just like, you got to be kidding.
What a shot.
That's Scottie for you.
And his first hole on Friday morning when he got released from jail, birdie. Like, roll out of bed, birdie, one of the toughest holes on the golf course, number one. Like, this guy he's not real, is he? He's not human.
He does look like a bit of a caricature, so maybe.
But, I mean, I defended Xander Schauffele last week on both shows, this one and the Betting Pros podcast. And, I mean, you got to hand it to him. What a Sunday for Xander to really come through and keep his foot on the gas, because Bryson was on a charge.
I wanted Bryson so bad because Bryson is in a lot of ways what we need in golf. Like Xander's just like another Scottie Scheffler. Like it's just not exciting to watch him win. Bryson, fist bumping, running around, getting the crowd involved. Like that, it was a hype fest going on Sunday. I was enjoying the shit out of Bryson.
Talk about a total reversal in his public persona.
Like, I love the guy now.
2 years ago, couldn't even stand to listen to the guy talk because it's just like blah blah blah. It's science bullshit. I'm going to play all same length irons. I'm going to do everything scientific and bulk up and hit the long drives and still have no short game, still can't win anything. And 2 years before that, he couldn't lose because guess what? He was just out there playing golf, having fun. It wasn't fun when he was doing his scientist stuff, and now he's on the Live Tour and he's having fun again. And you see a guy with that much talent, like immense talent, having fun with the game. He goes out there on Sunday and damn near wins the thing. And I found myself rooting for him, especially when he made the turn and he tossed that ball to the kid in the crowd. And dumb fuck, grown up wannabe man child intercepts it and runs off. He got a good distance before.
Sprinted.
Yeah, he was out of there, like bat out of hell. And Bryson flagged him down, and he did the walk of shame right back, gave the kid the golf ball that it was deserved, and I hope that guy rots in hell.
Yeah, what a douchebag.
Yeah, that's like, what's that guy? Hampel, the guy that shags balls at batting practice at baseball games. Like, dude, get a life.
Yeah, well, certainly don't intercept a ball from a kid, man. That's stuff that like changes and influences kids, and I mean,
and that's kind of the rule at a baseball game. You catch a foul ball or a home run, you give it to the nearest kid by.
Mm-hmm.
And in a golf tournament, I'm guessing if a golfer tosses you a ball, you should give it to a kid. Not like, this one's obviously headed for a kid, and he's out of there. Like, oh, this is my golf ball, blah blah blah. Like, that is the ultimate low. Like, you hit rock bottom as a person when you do that.
Yeah, I mean, what a scumbag. Best case scenario, Bryson wins and you sell it on eBay for $100. I mean, get out of here.
Yeah. Ooh, your ticket to the event costs more than that.
Yeah, best case scenario. So dumb. So dumb. But the last thing I wanted to say about last week, we about ready to stick a fork in Brooks, the major killer. We about ready to be done saying that.
I mean, until further notice, we have no choice.
God, he's just out of sorts, man.
He can't make putts consistently. Like, his putting was better than it was at Augusta, but it wasn't good enough. Like, was he tied for 26? Come on, man. That's the PGA. And I guess because it wasn't as tough as we all laid it out to be, it wasn't a grind fest. It wasn't a Brooks Koepka special where the tougher it gets, the better he plays. It was too easy, and so everybody's just passing him up because this dude couldn't sink a birdie to save his life. He looked like Collin Morikawa out there most of the time. Yeah. Morikawa just did it on Sunday. Morikawa looked amazing until Sunday, couldn't make a putt. And all his putts on Sunday looked great, they just didn't go in. Brooks Koepka looked like that for 3 of the rounds. and that's what happens, is if you don't make birdies and everybody else is making them, you ain't going to win.
Yeah, pour one out for Brooksy, at least for the
yeah. Let's hope the U.S. Open is a little tougher.
We shall see. I guarantee you, I won't be running anywhere to bet him.
Nah, there's too many good golfers. I mean, that's the highlight of the week of Valhalla. Isn't how easy the course played; it's how many great ones rose to the top. Yeah, that was fun. That was must see TV on Sunday.
100%. Yeah. Like I said, I was glued to it. I mean,
I could not get up. It was a gorgeous day out. I could have been floating in the pool. I was glued to the couch on a beautiful day because that's how good the golf was.
No, we were, a bunch of us were out at the bar, just pounding beers, staring at the screen. Looked like a bunch of monkeys. Like somebody just showed us fire.
Oh yeah. I'm sure that was exactly what it looked like.
and the noises were like,
oh yeah guttural.
Yeah, there was a lot of hatred for Xander floating around. It was.
I love Xander. I don't care what you say. How about we dig into a really nice golf course? This is a historic golf course. Byron Nelson and Ben Hogan love this golf course. If Ben Hogan likes the golf course, I like the golf course. Let's get into the caddy notes so Connor can wax poetic about Colonial Country Club. Let's address Royal's question real quick. I actually think it was his decision making, except for his mistake on 10, which nearly cost him. His decision making on what shots to hit when, I think, was better.
I don't know, that 3-wood out of the trap on, God, was that 14? That then he was, like, buried in the rough and could have caught a flyer out of there. I don't know. What I was gonna say is I don't think he got in his own head. I think
No,
what was
he was much more relaxed.
yeah,
And I think he knew that he had to make birdies. Where the week before that at Quail Hollow, it was survival. Like Rory was so hot that it was no chance either way. Xander could have shot 65 on Sunday at Quail Hollow and still wouldn't have won. The problem was at Quail Hollow, you were looking to survive and make pars, and it got in his head where he got too conservative, and then he was almost too aggressive at Valhalla, and it almost cost him. But I think just being able to be consistent and to not make those bonehead choices most of the time, like his decision on 18, that shot with his feet in the bunker, unbelievable in the difficulty factor. Like that's a shot that like you could hook it so far left that you leave yourself an impossible up and down, and then you're looking at like I'm not even going to be in the playoff if I hit that bad shot. But he hit the perfect spot to get up and down pretty easily and make that birdie. Hats off to Xander. That was incredible way to finish. And Bryson tipped his cap. That was one hell of a way to win.
Hey, credit where credit's due. Like Xander finally kept it together and closed out a tournament. And I think you got to respect good play. He played well 4 days in a row. He deserved the win. He got the win. But yeah, I think I hope it's foreshadowing of things to come with Xander, because if he can just keep it all together 4 days in a row, he's probably, in my opinion, top 3 best players in the world. I mean, he's just incredibly
so
good
consistent throughout the entire bag.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate he's not here at Colonial, because guess what? You're going to need to be pretty consistent throughout the bag here too. Connor, Colonial Country Club, not long. It's pretty short by tour standards. But guess what? It's more often than not single digits under par wins this damn thing.
I don't think we're going that low or that high this year, but
I think you're right. They've changed some things to make it a little more member friendly.
Yeah, like removal of some trees
and flattening the green complexes.
Yeah, so Charles Schwab Challenge, Colonial Country Club, Fort Worth, Texas, par 70, 7,289 yards, Bermuda fairways, bent grass greens. Yeah, the tournament's actually the longest running tournament on tour. It's been played here since 1946. Home to the Horrible Horseshoe, holes 3, 4, and 5, which are
nasty.
Arguably, again, probably top 3 hardest 3-hole stretch on tour. Maybe possibly the hardest. At least if you look at the bogey rate on them, which is
those par 4s, man. God,
20% or better bogey rate on all 3 of those holes. That's insane.
That seems tough.
But yeah, Colonial's tight and tree lined, super tiny greens. These are some of the smallest greens that you see on tour all year. Accuracy is absolutely critical. Given that accuracy you need off the tee to stay in the fairway, distance has not really been much of a weapon here. Not to say that having distance and shot shaping ability can't help you. It's just not needed. You're not going to overpower this place. It's more of a strategic approach, second shot type of course. So, and you need to be good from pretty much all distances. If you look at the mixes on the approach distances,
it ranges widely.
What's that?
It ranges widely.
It does. If you had to put a bulk of them somewhere, it's 175 to 200. But when you start lumping in like ranges by like clubs, when you start looking like actually the wedges, like 9-iron through your wedges is probably the most abundant shots that you're going to see.
That's like 150 and under.
150 and under, exactly. So greens are heavily guarded by bunkering. You've got water in play on 6 of the holes. There's like in excess of 80 bunkers on this course. And that's actually after they reduced how many bunkers are on this course. The nice thing about Colonial is there's really not a specific archetype other than consistent, accurate, and all around good play. So if you're those, you can definitely win here. But again, just to reiterate, accuracy is absolutely critical.
Everything. And accuracy is not just a straight ball, because the famous quote from Ben Hogan is a straight ball gets you into more trouble at Colonial than any other shot. And that's because there's so many dog legs. Like the Horrible Horseshoe notwithstanding, the rest of these holes aren't straight either.
No,
and the par 3s are really long and nasty because you have tiny greens. They're running fast. This is Texas. It's dried out. It's windy. It's just gonna be tough to hold these greens because you're gonna have to hit really solid distance control, flight control. You're going to have to curve it right to left to right, up and down. You're going to have to look for the ball strikers that have their game dialed in right now. And that's another reason why I'm kind of upset that Xander's not here, because I think Xander would set up extremely well here. Yeah, well, yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that guy. But yeah, this course is just, you have to be able to shape the ball and put the ball in the short grass. If you're not in the short grass here, forget about it.
No, 100% agree with everything you just said. So talking about getting dried out. So thunderstorms have been pretty much cycling through daily. We're going to have more rain tomorrow. We're going to have a little more rain on Friday. It looks like everything should taper off rain-wise probably late in the day tomorrow. Wind is kind of an interesting thing right now. It started the week when I first was writing columns and looking around. We were going to have gusts upwards at 30 miles an hour, even in some cases excess of gusts above 40. That's kind of come down a bit. We're going to be pretty well sustained around 10 to 15 miles an hour with gusts getting into the 20s. So not as brutal, but the temperature being in the 90s almost every single day.
It's like a blow dryer.
Yeah, it's gonna get real dry real quick. So
yeah, and plus another change they made to this golf course was to be more environmentally friendly and sustainable. So they added some barrancas for drainage. So yes, it will dry out much faster than it would have in years past, because all the water is running off naturally into these ditches and into the man-made water hazards that they put in. So yeah, this place is going to dry out in a hurry, no matter how many thunderstorms blow through today and tomorrow.
I want Seth to make us one of those like Pee-wee's Playhouse things that'll pop out every time we say barrancas.
With like a pow, like a
barranca.
Yeah, fancy Spanish word for a drainage ditch.
Yeah, for a shitty ditch with grass.
With a culvert sometimes.
Yeah.
They added grass to the bunkers on some of them too.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, essentially what they did was they made the bunkers into these barrancas for the most part. So I mean, in my mind, the way the barrancas play when they're dried out is real similar to a shitty, rigid, like sand trap.
Muni course.
Yeah. I mean,
but at least when they do that, they allow you to ground your club, because it's not a typical bunker anymore.
Bo loves carnage. I don't know that we're going to get max carnage here. I think we're probably looking around 14 under for the winner. +2 has actually been the cut like almost every year. So
yeah. I think +1 to even is going to be kind of that range though.
So yeah, previous winners: Griot last year 8 under, Burns 9 under the year before, Kokrak 14 the year before that, and Berger 15 the year before that.
Yeah, so guys can get hot here, but for the most part, it's subdued birdie wise. There's only 2 par 5s, so you got to get yours where you can get it. All right, what do you say we bet on some golf and twirl some clubs? I'm just delaying.
You say we drink some bourbon.
Well, I'm drinking beer today.
Cerveza de México.
Cerveza de México. Surprising no one in existence, your alleged felon, Scottie Scheffler, is your betting favorite at +260 right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. It has kind of fluctuated between +270, +280. Now we're back to +260. And again, if he's less than +500, you have to really determine how much of your bankroll you need to risk to make it worth betting him. And my advice has always been to wait until he slips to +500. If he does, then you hit him when he's at a more favorable number, because he can win from any number of strokes back, especially if it's before the cut line. That's my rule. Is if he starts off slow, or if somebody else starts off better and his number starts to slip to a more favorable position, there's not a stroke distance that he cannot make up. And I will hammer that line. We've already done it at +800 before, and we even got him at +1100 a few weeks ago when he double bogeyed the 4th hole on Thursday. Scottie Scheffler is in the field. He is a very, very high likelihood to win this thing. Nobody disagrees that he very well could win this thing. We're just saying be a smart better.
Yep, and as I lovingly called it earlier in one of our DM chats, I'd like to call it pulling a bow moving forward. Like it's been your advice for like the last 5 weeks on Scottie
Just
Scheffler, and
keep your hand hovering above the button.
pull a bow.
Yeah. Watch that line. I mean, I'm telling you, just keep the line open as you're watching him play. If he has one bad hole on Thursday, that line will slip. It happens fast. And if you wait one more hole, he could birdie that next hole and that line's gone. So if you're betting Scottie Scheffler, you got to be on your toes.
So a guy I do want to bet.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'm gonna go with Collin Morikawa plus 1200.
And what a great lineup for he's one of the more accurate off the tee players. He's an outstanding iron player, and except for Sunday at Valhalla, he's been making some putts, and always a underrated short game. I think that all of the signs point to this course fits Collin Morikawa, and plus 1200 for a guy who's playing as well as he is. That's soft. It is honestly soft, and we can thank Scottie Scheffler for being here to soften the lines on every single other player in this field.
Yeah, and with Morikawa too, like you got a little bit of Xander going on. Like Morikawa has been there like for the last 4 tournaments in a row.
And you know why? Because he's really freaking good.
Well, he's really freaking good now. He was really freaking bad at the beginning of the year. I mean, there were no signs of life. But yeah, he got his mind right at the Masters, where he got a third. He was 9th at RBC Heritage, 16th at Wells Fargo, 4 last week. Mm-hmm. I mean, what's interesting about all those finishes, with the exception of last week, is he's actually lost strokes on approach, which is so un-Collin Morikawa-like.
And that will regress back to the mean in a good way.
Yeah, and once that does happen, we're talking about a guy who week on week was gaining 5+ strokes to the field on approach. So yeah. If you get vintage Collin Morikawa in any of the coming weeks, he is absolutely going to lap the field. So I'm just going to start getting back on the train, and plus 1200 I think is a really good number on somebody who's been super close the last few weeks.
Another notch in his cap is I went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12 stats that I put in my model. He is in the top 20 in all of them except for putting. And honestly, 64th in this field in putting on bent, that's his best surface. He putts better on bent grass than any other surface. And every other stat, he's in the top 20 in this field. Every single one. And he's in the top 5 in 4 of them. Top 10 in 4 more of them. This guy's just locked in. He's got all the right fairways gained metrics, all the right greens and regulations, opportunities gained. He's number 8 on approach still, even though he's been quote unquote struggling on approach. Over his last 24 rounds, he's 8th in this field on approach, and that's bad for Collin Morikawa. Yeah, he's a good pick. That's just insane to see him slip to more than double digits, plus 1200 for that. That's insanity. And with how Scottie looked off the tee last week, he's not a given to win this thing. If he struggles off the tee like he did last week, especially on Saturday, where he shot over par for the first time all year, he's at just as many felony cases as he rounds over par this year.
I think the dangerous thing with Scottie is just, and not to get back on Scottie, but because we got plenty of other guys to talk about, but the dangerous thing with Scottie is like, yeah, he's a shoe-in probably. As long as he tees it up, he's going to be in the top 5 most often. I mean, there's going to be the rare instances like last week where it falls out of it, but I mean,
he's got negative odds for the top 5.
Yeah, and it's just he's just unbettable. So now the name of the game, at least with golf betting, is either pull a bow or try and find value where you can.
Find value and tip your cap if he does win and burns you.
I know that I am in the minority this week on this next thing I bring up, but I think you're in on them, so I'll let you try and convince me. I am completely out on Max Homa here.
And that's understandable. For me, I put so much stock on off the tee accuracy and approach accuracy. He's great on both those things. Off the tee game has not been there lately, but I know it's there for him. The problem with Max Homa is if his approach game's off even a little bit, his short game is not what's going to help him win. I feel like he's still playing well enough to where this golf course sets up in a way where he can just play his best type of golf, like Xander did last week, where it's like the course team seems to bring out the right mindset, where the parts of his game where he's least confident in, it's not the forefront of what he's trying to do. This golf course is all about finding the fairway. He's great at that. It's all about hitting small greens. He's outstanding at that most of the time. If he's not having to recover and scramble to make a par, he's going to be fine. He's going to be there. In a tough golf course like this, generally speaking, tough golf courses, Max Homa's going to be there. He's going to be a top 10 lock. And I've seen him play well enough at Torrey Pines and Riviera to know that it doesn't matter if it's tight and tree line, this guy's still going to come to play and he's going to give himself a chance. And the line plus 2,000, when he opened, it was plus 2,200. Then he dropped to plus 1,800. He's back up to plus 2,000. I'm hammering that line because he's too good for that soft of a line. And again, we can thank Scottie for that.
Yeah, I'm going to let you ride or die with Max. I'm
with you on Collin though. I just think Max is super soft this week. I'm out on your next guy, which is the complete juxtaposition that we've ever had.
I love Tony Finau here. I just freaking
blink twice if you're in danger.
I had to run my model a couple of times.
He's blinking myself. SOS and Morse code right now, people.
I had to pinch myself. I called a couple of friends. I called my mom. I just wanted to make sure that like I was still on planet Earth, because you know how much I hate Tony Finau. But
is this a green screen behind you? Somebody's recreated your studio, because I'm not sure that you're safe. Like, are you in a safe place right now?
My wife's got me chained to the table. Did you see it? We had
electrodes attached to your testicles right now, because this is a guy who literally purposely misspells Finau's name because he has so much disdain for Tony Finau as a golfer, as a betting golfer. And I don't fault you for liking him this week. I think he's number 5 in my model. That's pretty good. Like,
we lost viewers because I said I'm on Tony Finau. They know what's up.
I know, they're all gone. And this is either going to shape up to be an all-time reverse of fortune where you finally get Tony Finau right, or he's going to be so dead to you that there's nothing that can bring him back. Because 2 years ago, Connor liked Finau situationally. Like, if it was a Rocket Mortgage or some place where Tony Finau could just bomb his way through, tee to green, outstanding. Didn't matter if he putted well. Like, Tony Finau could play in those tournaments. But this last 2 years, you've been so far out on him that you won't even spell his name right. And now you come to me here saying that you love Tony Finau. At plus 2,500, I like him enough. He's great in my modeling. He's been hot. It's all the stars are aligned for this is the week. But if he doesn't come through for you, there is no return from that. There is no coming back from that if he fails you this time.
Tony and I are going to have a talk, because yeah, I mean, I think what's crazy is the more I dug into him, right? He last week at PGA Championship, he gained 9.5 strokes on approach. 9.5 strokes on approach, and finished.
He's good at that.
Finished 18th.
How does he finish 18th when he's that good on a second shop golf course?
Because everything else was just so like basic. But then I started looking at what he's actually been doing. I put my bias aside, and he's actually been like pretty nails on everything except putting, which you can visually see when he plays.
Yeah.
So essentially all we need out of Finau is him to keep doing what he's been doing with his approach game the last 7 starts.
Uh-huh.
If he does that and just has a flat week off the tee and putting, he probably wins this and wins it pretty easily. And so, and you look at the course history here too. Like, Finau's actually got pretty good course history here. He did miss the cut last year, but prior to that, he had a T4, a T20, a T23, and a second in 2019. So it's not like he plays poorly here. The other two things that I really kind of got onto that I like about Tony Finau is, one, plays better in really windy conditions. It's going to be windy. He plays better on bent grass than any other surface in terms of putting.
Yeesh.
And so it's just all of a sudden, like the stars are aligning where Tony Finau makes an ass load of sense, and he's plus 2,500.
So I just ran my model with the new filter, the bent grass filter, my favorite filter. And Tony Finau is 85th in fairways gained, 91st in strokes gained putting, and 103rd in our main proximity distance, 175 to 200. He's only top 5 in double bogeys avoided and top 20 on total approach.
He gains
He went all the way down to 47th when I put the bent grass filter on the model.
You got something filtered wrong. If you go into his player profile on Fantasy National right now and you look at his putting profile, he putts almost a full stroke better on bent grass than any other surface over the course of his career.
That's the only filter I have on here.
Go into his player profile. You're going to see a very different story. But nonetheless, I love where the approach game is setting up. I love what he's been doing the last few starts. And like I said, I think that this is a course that's going to allow Tony to plot a little bit more, take the driver out of his hand on every single hole. A lot of these par fours are definitely less than driver.
True, yeah, true. There's very few must-have drivers on this course.
And you can't dispute it. He is a good wind player. So when the wind kicks up and it dries out, Finau's equipped to play here. So
you said if he drives well and putts average, he wins this thing. And if a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his ass when he jumped.
Well, you even with you and I would still bump our asses when we jump. We're too top heavy.
That's for sure. All right, next down the line, I go quite a ways down until I get to my next one. I'm gonna be top heavy with Max and Collin. And shoot, where am I going down to? Tom Kim, 50 plus 5,500. You talk about guys who've looked good recently. Tom Kim looked great last week. He didn't finish as strong, but 19 birdies. He killed himself with a couple bad holes, but 19 birdies last week put him in the mix for a while. 19 birdies at Valhalla. That was more than most people. What was the winning score? Minus 21? That's pretty good.
I mean, good for TK. It's nice to see him doing anything.
He's straight off the tee. He's great on approach. He plays well on shorter courses. The number one strongest comp course to this place is Sedgefield. And guess where Tom Kim got his first PGA Tour victory? Sedgefield.
I think if you came to me with a good number on a top 20, top 10 for TK, I'd probably jump on it. I just don't
see. Plus 5,500. He's good. Plus 450 for top 10. That's strong.
I'd be in on that. I don't see any way that he wins this. Like, he did have a good week last week, but but you just look at what he's been doing all season. He's not even sniffed a win, even last week.
I'm just throwing him out there because the next one in line is a unanimous, like, resounding both of our favorite bets of the week. So we have to have some dialogue on guys we don't agree with.
Well, I like Siwoo at 35, and I like Tom Hoagie at 40 better than TK.
I like Tom Hoagie. Tom Hoagie actually fits this course pretty well.
Yeah, well, we all know what happens. It's probably the apocalypse is on us because I'm betting Finau and I'm betting Hoagie in the same week.
I'm just waiting for somebody to tell me that Conor is being held captive because he's just all in. All the chips are in the middle of the table. All the guys that were dead to him have resurrected themselves. They are zombies walking among us. And Conor is going for broke on guys that he usually hates.
I got Keith Mitchell on the card, too.
Cashmere Keith, good Lord.
Anyways.
Has he made a putt since NAM?
Without further ado, our one of our favorite, if not our favorite play of the week.
He's my favorite play of the week.
Akshay Bhatia.
Yeah. You might know him as Barracuda champion, Valero Texas Open champion. Barracuda win was in a very tight tree line golf course up at Truckee, Lake Tahoe, Old Greenwood, and his second was Valero Texas Open, where he just took down Denny McCarthy with the best short iron play we've seen all season. And yeah, Buffalo Trace makes him exceptionally happy. It makes me happy too. I love Buffalo Trace. Not a sponsor yet. So more with you. Yeah, always remember this week when Conor gets burned by two of his least favorite golfers that he happened to be in on.
It's going to ruin every barbecue I'm about to have.
Akshay Bhatia, plus 5,500 somehow is getting longer by the day. Is there a better player with a short iron in hand right now than him? No, I don't think so. If like I said this on the Betting Pros podcast, is if you let Akshay Bhatia drop a ball and start and play his second shot with 125 yards, he would make birdie on pretty much every hole. And the only question we've seen is with a streaky putter, which has been very good lately, and a little bit squirrely off the tee when he's a little bit excited. He's not the best stress player. He's 22 years old. He might need some time to polish the pressure, but I mean, he did win the Valero Texas Open, staring down a very tight finish with Denny McCarthy. I just think that Akshay is the perfect golfer for Colonial.
Yeah, I agree. Excellent long irons, excellent short irons.
He shapes it, doesn't he?
Can shape it anyway.
Shapes it like Ed Sheeran. Shape of you.
Already proven that he gets even more creative in wind situations, dry situations earlier this season. Yeah, there's just nothing about him. Even with the putter, like the putter went cold last week, but in his prior 7 starts, he averaged almost 2.6 strokes gained per tournament on the putting surface.
It seems good, especially with how good he is on approach.
Yeah, so I mean, he went a little cold last week, but that's definitely, he's never had a sustained drought on his putting, at least not in the last 10 months. So, yeah, I love everything about him this week. And it's a hell of a number on a guy that definitely can win here.
And I'm keeping it pretty trimmed down on my betting card this week. I'm going to have a little bit of Brendan Todd, the Todd father, whose odds keep slipping. He's just too accurate of a player, always puts himself in the mix on these types of golf courses. And I'm sure you're going to tell me a couple others here. But I have a deep shot. We're going deep on Ben Coles because we're not going to be out on Ben Coles with the way he's playing. I'm so tired of being where we were the first ones in the entire golf industry on Ben Coles, and then when we finally stopped talking about Ben Coles after a year and a half of Ben Coles this, Ben Coles that, he starts playing out of his goddamn mind. And so we're going to play some Ben Coles this week at 180 to 1, which opened at 250 to 1. So we're definitely not alone on him anymore, but I'm tired of being out on him when other people are enjoying it.
No, well said. No argument from me. I'll throw out, you can read about these guys in my column if you want to know more on why I'm playing them, but a couple ones before we get down to my deeper shot. Aaron Rai, plus 50, plus 5,000 rather. I know Bo's on him as well. He rates out incredibly well, very accurate, great approach player.
Number one in the field in fairways gained. That stands for a lot.
Yeah, he's also not bad in the old opportunities gain metric, and he's 6th in the field in greens and regulation just in general. I mean, he's a very, very accurate player.
Very accurate.
Very.
And he wears 2 gloves, and he puts covers on his irons.
And those gloves fit, so. Lucas Glover is another one that actually...
And he doesn't wear gloves, despite being named Glover.
See what I did there?
Yeah, 2 gloves, Aaron Rai from England, and no glove Glover from America.
So Glover is kind of an interesting one, just to throw out a couple of quick stats to save people to read if they don't want to do it.
Stat darling extraordinaire.
He's a stat darling, but within good reason. The last 24 rounds, like, it's crazy how accurate he is. It's more so than I even thought. 70% of fairways hit, 72% of greens and regulation hit, number 2 in the field for opportunities gained. The problem with him right now,
he can't putt.
He can't putt, which is historically
that's always been his problem.
So
Lucas Glover would be the best player in the world. He would have beaten Victor Hovland in the FedEx Cup last year if he could make a damn putt.
But what he did really well in spurts last season was make putts, and so
he got hot.
Yep. So he's another player. Like, I'm not as hung up on putting metrics this week as a lot of other people are. It's just a stance I'm taking. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong, but I'm going for super accurate approach guys. And Lucas Glover is one of the best in the business still. So 55 to 1, I think that's a pretty good number on a guy who's got close to as good an approach game as the guy we just talked about in Akshay Bhatia.
He'll have a chance for sure. Okay. I must address the elephant in the room. It should have been a second-degree felony for assault on the DFS mines when I was invited to not one but two extra DFS contests with Connor and his buddies, some of whom are in the chat right now. And I swept the board, bitches. Took all your damn money. So I really am sort of a little bit sorry that you all were slamming your trunks against me last week. Forget it. No, I'm not sorry at all. I'm going to do it again this week. Send that invite. No trunk slams.
The club is well. This would be a wrestling slam.
Connor, thoughts?
I am devoid of thoughts or emotions.
I mean, you're all in on Tony Finau and Tom Hoagie. That should say enough for your mindset this week.
Obviously, I'm trying something different this week.
He puts his underwear on backwards just like the rest of us.
Oh God. And it was funny too, because like I was at the bar with Tim Burke and Tim Welch, who watched the show.
Oh my God.
And
they were all cussing. You guys were all cussing me, I know.
Well, they were beating you for a while on Sunday, and I can't remember which one I was looking at.
JT was the one.
JT was on the course still, and I kept looking at the numbered holes left, and I'm like,
he had 8 holes left, and I was only down by 3 points. So you guys were so toast.
Yeah, I kept going. JT's still on the course. You're fucked, pal.
Yeah, and JT in his hometown, who is actually charging into a top 10 finish, and you thought you had a chance. That's cute. That's adorable.
Dude, I can't say anything. I thought I had a nails lineup. Like I honest to God, when I put the lineup in, I was like, this is the type of lineup that'll win 6 figures. Like that was what I was thinking. And then Saturday morning rolls around and I'm like, I have 2 guys that made it through the cut. This is awesome.
Excellent. Outstanding. That is DFS in a nutshell.
It was a lot of carnage on my card, but that's okay.
It was funny though, because when I built my lineups, I was struggling to get under the cap because all the guys I wanted, I was at 400 or 500 over, and I was like, damn, who do I want to drop from this to make room? And I finally did it, and I think only had one guy miss the cut, and it was just like, okay, that was the luckiest thing ever because I just guessed right. And so I will take your money for now. I'm sure I'll give it back here eventually. And
I mean, in a vacuum, I mean, this lineup is this right? This was last week, right? McIlroy, Oberg, Thomas, Bezuidenhout, Pendrith, and that Tim Whiting guy I was on. Like on paper, that's not a bad
Tim
lineup.
was under par in the first round. He just sucked on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, Seabez absolutely screwed me, and Oberg, I don't know, maybe he got arrested and we didn't hear about it.
I told you his knee was sore. He was feeling on it all week. That dude trunk slammed harder than anybody. He wanted to get out of Louisville so fast, like he might have gotten arrested on the way out of the gate.
Yeah, my knees are going to be sore making more money to play DFS this week.
Yeah, Ludwig Oberg, we need to rest up, buddy. And so get your rest, get your knee right, ice it, elevate it, compress it, do all the things you need to do because that was atrocious.
I was so pumped about that lineup. I thought I was so clever. That's not the only lineup I played last week, but that is
Bezuidenhout was awful. Good Lord, what a trunk slam that was.
That was the one I elected to play against Bo, which
Yikes.
I should not have.
Yeah, it was regretful. So Let's pull up latest ownership projections from our friends at Moosenomics Fantasy National. Scottie Scheffler. I'm surprised he's coming in at 37% rostered right now.
I do kind of think that 13,003 for Scottie is actually kind of reasonable given how many
That's
DK
why he's
points.
So chalky, because you can still build around him, no problem. I've already built a couple lineups with him in it.
Yeah, it's not terribly difficult to get him in a lineup. I still don't know that I think that his win equity is that much higher than some of the guys I like at the top, just at this course. Because you made a really good point about him. Like, if he does struggle off the tee at all, this can go south for Scottie kind of quick. I mean, you can't.
He doesn't have the putting to recover for it. We know that.
So I don't know if having to get to 40 or 45% once the casual market creeps into what we're looking at. I mean,
yeah, and he was a fade in my article again, but that just means I'm going to be under the field in ownership. I'll be probably around 20-25% on Scottie.
yeah, I mean, you'd have to be an idiot not to roster him some, but
yeah, a masochist like I hate money. I actually don't enjoy winning anything.
Who wants the thrill of victory?
Yeah, not me.
No siree.
The chalk pivots are obviously Collin Morikawa and your argument between 16 and 17% owned Homa and Finau. If you like me, press 1 for Homa. If you like Connor, press 2 for Tony Finau. They're sporting the same ownership. They're both pretty decently priced. Finau being cheaper by $500 might help you fit him in a lineup a little easier. Siwoo Kim is definitely on my list. That 11% for Siwoo Kim at 9,600. That's a steal of leverage. And Sung Jae Im's playing pretty good golf lately, and 9,400 is pretty cheap for a golf course that demands accuracy. He is accuracy personified. Will I bet him on to win? No. But is he in the DFS pool? Abso-fucking-lutely at 5.7% rostered expected. That's too low.
I don't know. I'm still not back on Sung Jae. I'm probably going to regret it, but
I mean, are you in on 16% Christian Bezaden?
I actually kind of like.
That's disgusting.
I kind of like Bez here.
Easiest chalk fade ever. I can see putting him in the pool because he's an accurate player, but I mean, what we saw from him last week was so ugly that he shouldn't be this chalky. That's just stupid.
No, I mean, honestly, outside of Scottie, I probably am a little bit out on Morikawa at 23%. I got
that's pretty high.
I probably have got some interest in playing Tom Hoagie. He's getting up there at 12.5%, but
I think he's overpriced. Like if he was 8.8, I would be fine. But
I don't know.
Horschel's 8.8. That's weird. Why is Hoagie so expensive?
Well, if you look at the guy who's around, like Sung Jae and Adam Scott and even Harris English, like they're not getting the results Hoagie is. Like now, is Hoagie absolutely live to light your money on fire? 100%. Like we talk about it every week. But statistically and results wise, Hoagie is playing significantly better than those guys. So I mean, the pricing to me makes sense. It's just weird to see him up there.
Yeah, as much as I love fading the chalk on certain guys, that there's no bigger chalk bomb to dodge than Brian Harman, 20%, 9,500. I can't stand this guy on approach. Like everybody thinks, oh, he's so accurate. Because he doesn't hit the ball very far. His approach metrics are god awful this year. This is not the same guy who won the Open Championship last year. His putting's good, his wedge game's good, but from tee to green, he has been dog shit this year. 20% owned for 9,500 Brian Harman. I will have 0 Brian Harman this week.
Yeah, my hypothesis here is that the reason Brian Harman's where he is because people are 3 stacking the 9s.
Yeah.
And if you look at the ownership projection up there, I think that's going to end up being a pretty popular build, is 3 guys in the 9s.
Easy to fade.
So,
yeah. Stack it up top and drill those high 7s and low 8s because they are loaded.
Yeah, and we can get down into the 8s. I mean, there's up in the 9s. I think the guys we want to play are the same guys that we're talking about betting.
Yeah,
so.
And the leverage guys in the 8s are guys we haven't talked about yet. I mean, a little bit of Denny McCarthy, 8,700 is 8%. Kashmir Keith is there, even though he's not going to get a lot of love from me. Justin Rose playing great right now. Chris Kirk, 6.9%. Nice. Even chalky Sepp Straka, he's a lot like Tony Finau, where he's kind of that big game wind player, like accurate player. He's just great from tee to green. Tom Kim, I already talked about him. He's only 4.9% if you're looking for a leverage pivot at 8,200. But right now, I'm looking at a lot of guys in the mid and low 8s and into the high 7s that are just too cheap and too low ownership to ignore in DFS.
Yeah, I think you got to like what Keith Mitchell represents, like the driving, just the accuracy in
He's
general.
So good off the tee.
And I'm kind of team no putt this week. I know that may bite me in the ass, but it's where I'm going.
I'm team some putt.
And so
I think I like 5% putting on bent.
Keith Mitchell, man, when he's on, I don't think you want to full fade him. I don't think that's what you're saying either. But I do like 8,600 for Keith Mitchell in that.
You might convince me to get him in the pool. He's not currently there, but he's on the cusp.
I think I gotta like him a little bit more than some of the guys around him, but that's is what it is. I do think Tom Kim at 4.9% in DFS. Like I said, I think a top 10, top 20 is fully within Tom Kim's range this week. So $8,200, I think you get your money back there, and 4.9.
Nobody has him.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I think it's a really nice leverage spot, especially in that low 8s, high 7s range, because there is some chalk in there. Aaron Rye, we're looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
So
17%. Woof.
Yeah,
I like him, but I don't love him.
Yeah, I mean, getting into the 7s, so I'm really high on Taylor Moore. Continues to do what we didn't think he could do, which is play
great
good golf.
Accurate player, 10% leverage. Let's go, Taylor. I'm tired of fading Taylor Moore because he was chalky, and somehow he's been playing well, and he's less chalky this week. Make it make sense.
I can't make it make sense, especially when you look at Thomas Dietrich, who's 2% more owned than he is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I'm all in on Taylor Moore. I love Akshay, even at 13%.
He's down to 12 now.
Even better. 7,900 for Akshay is criminal in this field. So,
Daniel Bacon Cheeseburger, one of the former champions of this event.
Yeah, and I think he's a
10.
prime example of a guy that we talked enough shit about that all of a sudden
if you're in on Lucas No Glove Glover, you got to be in on Daniel Bacon Cheeseburger.
Well, I'm not the only person coming around on Lucas Glover because I'm showing him around 15% now.
Yeah, he's a DFS fade for me.
I'm gonna play Glover. I got spots I can get different enough that I don't mind that percentage on him.
And how much Austin Eckroat are you going to have at 17%? I mean, everybody loves Austin Eckroat this week because he's your accurate course darling, and he's underpriced. He's underpriced too far. Now everybody has him, and I'm kind of turned off by that.
No, I'd go up or down from him. Like Eckroat at 16-17%, like that's too much. Like, yeah. Ben Griffin is the same type of golfer as Austin Eckroat, and he's literally coming in at 4%, and he's $200 cheaper, $100 cheaper.
How about Homeless Hubs, red hot Homeless Hubs at 7,700, 13% owned? That seems decent. It's just like it's too much chalk for a guy who we've seen do well in spurts.
I don't know that I love Hubbard on fast and windy. Like, I don't know. Like, he's playing really, really good golf, and I'm normally a huge Hubbard fan, but like, I don't know. That's a lot of chalk to eat for what I think is going to play awfully tough. Like Hubbard's game is really like being able to be right in the middle of the pack in a birdie fest, which is why he kind of showed up last week.
And he makes putts. Like, this guy makes everything. If he's on the green in regulation, he's going to make a lot of birdies. But this isn't that course. I see your Ben Griffin is 7,400, 4.4% owned, and I'll raise you last year's runner-up at Colonial, Adam Schenk, at 5% owned, same price.
Can't fault you for wanting to play him. I like that play too. Especially
5% for a guy who was a second place last year, and he lost to Emiliano Grillo, who just got scalding hot down the stretch last year. It should have been Schenk that won last year, but Grillo just was unconscious on Sunday.
Yeah, there's a guy that I'm not going to touch, but
no.
Well,
he's not getting any love either. Like, nobody believes in the repeat Grillo.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he's not playing good golf. But I mean, to your point, Ben Griffin, Adam Schenk. I mean, I'm certainly willing to roster them over Andrew Putnam, projected at 12%, or Austin Eckroat at 17, 18%. So, yeah, I think those are good pivot plays. And I made the point about Ben Griffin. I mean, he's a similar golfer to the guys right around him in price, right? He's an accurate player. He's not going to kill you. He makes a lot of cuts, very consistent, which is what you're looking for in DFS, and you get the leverage out of him. So
I'm going to give you a 3-part multiple choice. These are 3 guys that are moderately chalky for their price. All 3 are playing really good golf this year. All 3 have decent fits for this golf course. Lee Hodges, Doug Gim, Brendan Todd.
Out on Gim. I think I'm going Lee Hodges, but Lee Hodges is kind of the chalkiest of the group.
Yeah, he's at 10%, and Todd is at 9%.
I think with Lee Hodges, what draws me to him, he does rate out 7th in my model, so he's up there. He's in my pool
great
already.
Last week. Outstanding last week.
Not only that, but what's an interesting thing about Lee Hodges over the last 24 rounds that is a good differentiator this week is he's number 4 in this field for sand save percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So not only does he have a pretty stout approach game, not only are his best 2 ranges with irons, the 2 key ranges we're looking at, but if he does miss one of these pretty small greens, finds himself in a bunker, he's 4th in the field at getting himself out of that trouble, getting up and down. So he's a good tiebreaker when you talk about 3-4 people in the same range, even with a little higher rostership. Like Lee Hodges has a few more tools in the toolbox.
He does. And how about leverage hammer, 7,000 flat, Eric Cole, less than 2% owned.
Pains me, but he's 102nd in my model, and he is just a far cry from where he was a year ago.
What happened to Eric Cole? Cautionary tale. He's actually number 6 in my model.
Oof. Might want to refilter.
We have differing opinions. I mean, if we look at the results lately, I think my model is holding a little bit more weight recently.
Ooh.
It hasn't always been the case.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. And why roster 14 to 15% Justin Lauer down at 6,400 when you can go all the way down to 5,700 for 4% on Ben Coles? Make it make sense, Connor. I know you're a staunch proponent of Justin Lauer's. He's been playing decent golf earlier this year. Lately, he's been terrible. 14.5% is steep for a value play.
Yeah, I can't get there with that rostership. So no, I'd be Ben Coles with you as well. Like that's too much to pay for Justin Lauer.
Any other extreme value plays that you're going to touch on? Maybe some T-Dunk, Tyler Duncan.
No T-Dunks, but I did look at Austin Smotherman a bit.
Ooh, we haven't said that name in a while.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one to throw out there. Also, he's 400 to 1 in the betting market for the outright. So, there's your I've done dumber shit with $5 bet. But no, Smotherman surprisingly rated out 17th in my modeling over the last 24 rounds. And he's another guy that's like a very adequate ball striker. Mm-hmm. But what drew me into him a little bit more is he's actually in the top 20 for all of the approach proximities that I looked at. So all 4 buckets, and he's 19th in this field for opportunities gained. So he really has been a lot more accurate and getting a lot more looks at birdie than maybe what you would think on the surface. So 5,500, I'm not going to say it's a gross misprice, but I think he should be probably closer to like the Dylan Woos, Kevin Tways, Justin Suh range, like that low 6.
Tway's going to be in my pool again because he's been solid.
That's probably as deep as I go, though. I might sprinkle in some Ryan Moore. Ryan Moore, obviously, short hitter, accuracy.
He's made a total of 4 cuts this year, too.
I'm not saying that I'm lining up to play Ryan Moore, and God,
you have been.
So I'm not saying that here, and a big reason I'm not saying that here is there's no way I'm going to have to be down here that often. Like I am actually going to play a lot of Tony Finau, which saves me a ton of money at the top of the board.
Sure does.
So, it hurts me if the hat picks Tony Finau, dude, I'm not even watching golf.
It's meant to be. Oh, it's so good. All right, who's going to win this damn thing besides Scottie Scheffler?
Tony Finau, 14 under.
That's disgusting. I'll say Collin Morikawa.
I forgot to mention to you, Tony Finau has the good T-split too. AM Thursday, PM Friday.
Yeah, we don't get to talk about that because usually we're on Tuesday nights and they haven't been released yet. But now that we have that information, the T-splits are important, and I still can't
all my money this week.
Yeah, it's going to be so fun. All right, I think it's going to be Collin Morikawa at 15 under par.
I don't hate that either. I like it. I think first round leader might be something spicy though. I don't.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
I'm kind of interested in maybe a Minwoo Lee first round leader.
Gross.
I don't know, man. I think it's going to be a little nasty. Get around noontime on Thursday, so
I think a guy's going to come out of the woodworks too. I think it's just going to be a guy like Akshay Bhatia, first round leader.
He's got the good T split too, I think.
Mm-hmm. He does, and wouldn't you know it, when he won the Valero, he started off real hot too, wire to wire.
I'm gonna hate myself if Akshay wins and I said Tony Finau. I'm retiring from the show if that happens.
All right, is the hat ready?
The hat has
model.
arrived.
The models are so different that this could be anything.
And the hat has selected. No, God, the hat's fucked. Number 81.
81. No way. This is
Emiliano Grillo.
defending champion. The hat abides. I'm just gonna skip. There's no way my guy's gonna do well this week.
You gotta at least say it.
The hat is fucking me over with Sami Valimaki.
I don't hate that actually.
I hate it. $5,600.
The hat chose Emiliano Grillo. God, fucking hat.
The hat has not been wrong yet this year, unlike us.
I'll tell you what, Burke, you play a lot of Emiliano Grillo. You let me know how it goes. You and the hat. I'll let you wear the hat. How about that?
Yeah. All right. From Conor Coughlin, I'm Bo McBrayer. This has been the 19th hole. Join us next week for the Royal Canadian Open. Defending champion Nick Taylor. That was quite the finish last year. First
Tommy
Canadian
Fleetwood gagged it away, if I recall.
How many tournaments has he won on the PGA Tour, by the way? I think in French it's zero.
Zero.
All right. Join us next week for the RBC Canadian Open.
We'll be on time next week on the correct day.
Shout out to the loonies out there. Next week is your national tournament. Cheers.